So, but my speech is going to focus on mastering customer centricity with journey management, because that's what I really believe that what journey management is for. It's about transforming organizations to become more customer centric. And that involves that everybody needs to be involved. It's not only for the design functions responsibility. But let me start with a personal story on like how did I actually ended up here today. This story starts 4 years ago. We were imagine this. We were in a room of like about as many people as we have here. We were celebrating a kind of a quite large, long CX strategy project that we had done for one big brand in Finland. We worked 9 months together. We involved the people from the front line all the way to the executive team. And we were now sitting in the kind of celebrations session where we had just presented the strategy and the vision, and everybody was inspired. And I was like, that was like probably one of the kind of highlights of my career, because I felt that, okay, we really did good job. Like this is such amazing. We set like clear like a vision for the strategy, and we had a plan on how to actually get there. Now, this was the moment that we left, and we left it for the team to continue. And then 2 years later, I had a chance to work with them again. I was really anticipating when I was going to meet them for the first time, because it had been 2 years since we worked together. So I was like eagerly waiting, so that like, where are they actually at the moment? So the strategy that we defined and the vision that we wanted to go towards, how far had they actually managed to go with that? But unfortunately, much to my disappointment, it fell flat. Only 20% of the things that we defined roughly actually got implemented. And I was so disappointed. I was like, why? Why we were all like aligned? And I started asking, it was still the same people, not as cheerful as last time, but quite frustrated, to be honest, because we were meeting the CX team there. And it turned out that after the strategy work, which was like involving the whole company and executives were behind it, it was handed over to the CX team that, okay, now it's your responsibility to actually deliver on this strategy. And it's just like from that point of view, like being one of the silos across many other silos, transforming the organization is really, really difficult. But it was also like, it was like a bit of a reflection point for myself, because we had a set process how we had been doing this for many, many years, for many, many clients. And now I was starting to question myself that I have been actually just doing what consultants do, generate PowerPoints, and not really making an impact. And I started like looking at like doing like a lot of like research online first. Then I had been discussing with a lot of tens of different organizations on trying to understand that like how do you actually implement the kind of CX strategy, and what are the kind of the common pitfalls that organizations face when they are trying to do that. Because I really don't want to be one of those consultants when I retire and I look at like what kind of impact did I make, is that like a zero impact. So from the research, like one of the interesting statistics was that I found this. There was this study done in US where they interviewed 700 executives. This is not about customer experience strategy. This is about strategy in general, and they were interviewing them on like how do they feel as executives who have been sponsoring the strategy and owning the strategy, that how well it has been executed. And only 8% of the people say that it's been executed as it was planned. So clearly, and I believe that every one of us can like think about from the past that like, okay, there's strategy, but here's the reality. And if the strategy shifts, do we still work the same way? And it's really, really difficult to implement the strategy. And this, for CX strategy, it's exactly the same thing. So then I like over the years, I've been now kind of working and interviewing people. For the last 2 years, I've been really focusing on trying to understand like what are the pain points that we need to solve for the customers, and what is the solution, that how we can make sure that the strategies get implemented. So the first challenge, which is alluding to exactly what Olga was talking about when she was talking about the triple diamond, is prioritization. So how does your organization decide what are you actually going to do next? Quite often, these decisions are made based on continuation, and the people who organizational teams who have the resources, they have their own microcosm where they can make decisions on how do they use those resources. They are guided by the like overall strategy, but it's a loose connection there. It's mostly like incremental improvements. And when it comes to CX, and especially like implementing like CX strategy, there's a lot of things that fall in between the cracks. There's no teams who are responsible, who are capable of doing those things. Olga already discussed about the triple diamond, so I won't go into detail what triple diamond is, but like same, I agree completely what Olga said, that is like quite a few organizations, they skip the first diamond. They really don't create, don't do the research to understand what are the actual customer pain points or unserved needs that we need to solve and produce services. And the cost of doing it this way is enormous, because then you are like pushing feature after feature after feature through the pipeline, delivering things to the market. Organizations are actually quite good at delivering and developing things, but I just think that they are developing often the wrong things, or not the most important things. So that's why, like, if you are in your organization, think about how do you prioritize? How do you decide what are you actually going to do next? Are you considering their kind of customer value, business value? If not, then and I really urge you to start thinking it this way. So actually in a first diamond, so in a problem discovery diamond, in journey management, what you do is you discover all the kind of pain point and unserved need, and then you turn those into opportunities. And it's an interesting dynamics when you start talking about opportunities rather than pain points. We've been now working with one of the speakers on a half-a-year project, and we just this week we had a session where we start prepared for the next step, and we were discussing exactly what's the difference on talking about opportunities rather than pain points. If you bring pain points for the top management, be like, hey, these are all my pains, it's not going to be really empowering for them. But if you bring them opportunities, that's much easier to actually address. And the opportunities, you need to balance them between the customer value and business value. If it doesn't have a customer value, no customers, it's not going to make an impact for the customers. You won't get the business results. If it doesn't have the business value, then probably it's not something that you should do either. So in kind of journey management, and this is actually, they do has this later like Martin is going to discuss about that they do has this kind of nice kind of matrix view where you can place all the kind of the opportunities. So after the first diamond, what are the opportunities that you should start prioritizing? So you can place it under the two axes. You have the customer value and you have the business value. And now you can start when you start making prioritization discussions, it's fairly easy to decide, okay, so maybe we should first look into the ones that have the highest business and highest customer value. If regarding customer centricity, if you need to start from somewhere, I would start from the prioritization. Try to address the kind of prioritization problems there. Then the second challenge that I see often is the organizational silos. And I'm sure that many of you actually come from large organizations. So organization silos, they really do create a lot of problems unintentionally. It's not that people really desire to be in a silo and not to communicate with anybody and have the kind of I want to have my hidden agendas, but it's just the nature of law when it comes to kind of having large organizations. Communication is difficult. Knowing what other people are doing is really challenging, but this leads to a lot of wasted resources as well, because there are, again, when you go to prioritization, those silos are prioritizing their own resources, but are they prioritizing them based on what your customers need or even what your company needs? So what the journey management, one of the things that what we aim to do is to really bring this alignment across the organization. So at least when it comes to a customer experience, that we would have a kind of shared view which everybody would be looking at. So actually what I really want to emphasize is that it should be for the whole entire organization. It shouldn't be just for one team who's looking at this. If you can't get it to the whole organization, then it's not really you're not really transforming the organization into customer-centric ones. Then the third challenge is that, and this is an opportunity as well, if you think about the organization, there's a lot of assets already existing there, but those assets are really difficult to actually access. The accessibility of these is really challenging. A lot of, like for instance, if you like look at like behavioral data, there might be some like team that is really kind of like understanding and going deep on the behavior data, and then they produce reports. Or you have like some customer feedback. You have this like monthly meetings where some team produces that these are the customer feedback results. But what happens after that? And can any of you access all of these things on your work? So what we aim to do with kind of journey management is that we bring these things on journeys. So now the journeys, if you think about traditional journeys, they've been like based on the qualitative data, been a snapshot of the kind of moment. Now, when you start integrating all these different data sources on the journey, then they actually become accessible, and you can actually start using those valuable assets that you have already been investing and start getting the return of investment of those assets. Then it's a bit surprising, but it's quite common that there is a really lack of like real customer insights, especially when it comes to kind of qualitative insights. And if you talk to kind of research teams, often their work is quite reactive. When the project starts, they are called upon to saying, hey, we need to understand this customer, we need to understand this kind of journey, can you do the research? And when they start, it's already too late. The team is like anticipating, hey, like, does it really have to take so long? Can you just go faster? We need to really get started. And then you make compromises and you really do kind of just focus on delivering, and you deliver the report and you move on to the next one. And what happens with this kind of way of doing is that you never actually accumulate any knowledge into the organization. It's like pouring water to the well, but the level doesn't really rise. It's not reusable, and it's a lot of wasted resources gone there. So my kind of what I'm trying to advocate when it comes to customer research is that like move away from reactive to more like proactive. And journey management is a really excellent like roadmap, if I would say. If you think about all the journeys that you have, if that's the kind of like the things that you need to fulfill with insights, then that can be the kind of backbone for your kind of research programs as well. And I think the researchers' role in a company shouldn't be to answer the kind of demands of an individual project. It should be really to be the translator of like who your customers are, what are their experiences across the kind of customer journeys. Now, if you think about that, if I'm a product manager and I'm starting a new project, if I would start it with the kind of customer research. Now what I can actually do is that if I'm working on this process phase, for instance, I can go to my journeys, look at the existing research that is already there, and if it's like completed, then I can just move forward. I don't need to wait for the research. But this requires a kind of like a mind shift in the research organization. You need to start like be more proactive, have like an annual plan on like these are the big research kind of waves that we're gonna do, and these are the things that we're gonna address. And this could be, so you like on a journey, then you can like just spot that these are the gaps that we have, and then the research team will go and fulfill those gaps. Then the fifth one and the last one is that if I talk to like organizations, if I just start talking each of you one by one, and I start asking, so who's actually owning is responsible, regardless of owning, but is responsible of the end-to-end journey, which the customers really go through. Usually there's nobody that can be found. Organizations have been organized, and especially mature organizations have been organized based on kind of products. And the more mature, the smaller the area that everybody specializes on. The challenge with this approach is that customers don't really think about just product. They go through journeys, which is like it's a combination of like your touch points, your products, but it's also a lot of other steps along the way. It might be your partner experience, steps there, or it might be just something that they do on their own. And now what journey management advocates is that you should start like having people who have ownership and responsibility of journeys, and they really optimize what is the kind of the journey experience. And often this requires like new roles. I know that we have some organizations here who have actually specific roles for journey ownership. And I think that's the kind of the goal which everybody should go for. But quite often you need to start from somewhere, and especially in these economical times, it's really difficult to go and ask for like, hey, can we start hiring like 5 to 10 new journey owners in order to activate the journey management? So it might mean also that you just like educate and give new responsibilities for new people. So the journey owner's role. So let's say that I would be a journey owner of a sector so that there's like 5 to 10 journeys. My role is to kind of define the strategic vision. So where do we want to take this for? So not just like rely on what are the today's pain points and just incrementally improve it, but I should really own this is the direction that we should go towards, and create backcast like opportunities from those as well. So that when we start to do the kind of optimization work, that we don't just incrementally improve, but we actually are taking leaps as well. And then constantly evaluate like how well are we performing on those journeys, and not just the kind of CX metrics, but also business metrics. And for us, many of us are like design background people. And I think we had just having discussion yesterday on a dinner with Martin that how important it is to really to integrate the business metrics and us to really start like talking the business language. Journey management is a good starting point, because when you integrate the business metrics onto the journeys, then you like gradually start also to think about the kind of what is the impact of if this experience is improved, which business metric does it affect. Plus, it makes it also interesting for the rest of the organization. So keep that in mind. So if you embark on the road to kind of go to kind of journey management, so what can you expect? So what are the kind of the rewards? So first of all, like we discussed, that it's a lot about breaking the silos, creating this like unified place where everybody can actually view the customer. And then you suddenly start to see that, hey, marketing is working on the same journey that I am. They are doing this part. So it really brings the alignment across the organization. And it's also like, and my what I always preach about is the prioritization. And why I do this is that because this is also the way to kind of build the return of investment. That are you doing the right things? And I claim that like if you really do the kind of customer-centric way, that you understand the customer needs and you create the opportunities that have the customer value and the business value, you actually will be able to do less than if you just rely on assumptions that we have. Okay, we really need to do these. Let's put more features on it. It's really expensive. So by actually being customer-centric, it is a good business decision as well. And then it like aligns. If I started the kind of the presentation on talking about personal story where the whole company failed to implement the customer experience vision and the strategy, journey management is really the way to kind of operationalize the strategy and make sure that the entire organization is aligned. And then like regarding journeys, if you just look at one journey, journeys used to be the kind of just a snapshot of a moment where the research was done and it was used at that point, but it kind of faded quite quickly. In journey management, you start actually integrating real-time metrics into it. It's a living kind of journey. It's more like a dashboard of like what's happening right now, rather than what happened like a few months ago. Thank you.